And if you're a person who doesn't like bearing the burden of proof for your outrageous claims, then maybe talking isn't for you. Welcome to another episode of Noah's Snark. I'm Atheist Josephina, aka AJV, and today I'm going to keep it short. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the burden of proof, because it's something theists, particularly Christians and Muslims, get wrong all the fucking time because they don't like it. What is the burden of proof? Who has it during an argument? And why do they have it? The burden of proof is the obligation to provide evidence or logical reasoning to support a claim or assertion. It places the burden of proof upon a person making a claim. It's why intellectually honest atheists say, in response to the statement, God exists, they say, I don't believe you, instead of making the claim, God does not exist, which would be an assertion that carries with it the burden of proof. Why does the person making a claim have the burden of proof? In a debate or everyday argument, if you assert something, for example, this policy will improve education, you must provide reasons or evidence to back it up. The person to whom the claim is made doesn't need to disprove anything. They just need to show you that you haven't sufficiently supported what you're asserting. By the way, a person doesn't have the burden of proof in a debate where the default position is neutrality or disbelief until evidence is provided. For example, if someone claims a miracle occurred and you respond with, extraordinary claims require extraordinary, or at least good, evidence, you're not making a counterclaim. You're defending the standard of evidence. Without the burden of proof, anyone could claim anything they want without accountability. This is why I'm fond of saying if the person making a claim doesn't have the burden of proof, no one does, and there's no point in arguing about anything. Just believe whatever the fuck you want, even if it hurts other people. So the burden of proof keeps arguments fair and rational. This principle prevents what's called shifting the burden of proof, where someone expects others to disprove their unsupported claim, where the person who tries to shift the burden of proof is always some schmuck trying to get away with a claim that is unfalsifiable. For example, a person claims there is an invisible dragon living in their garage. Being skeptical, you might say, let me see it. Response, you can't. It's invisible. You say, okay, let's spread some flour on the floor to see its footprints. Response, it floats, so it doesn't leave footprints. You say, can we use a thermal camera? Response, it doesn't give off heat. Every time you propose a way to test the claim, the person making an assertion changes the conditions so that no evidence could ever disprove it. That's what makes a claim unfalsifiable, and theists love to do this with their God character. They'll say something like, God exists outside of space and time, which means God is inherently beyond any logical or empirical verification. Believers simply love their unfalsifiable claims. Placing the burden of proof on the person making a claim is an approach that is rooted in logic and even legal reasoning. You can't assume something is true just because it hasn't been disproven. To summarize, having the burden of proof equals a responsibility to prove a claim. The person making a claim has that burden. They have it to ensure that their claims are supported by reason or evidence, not just asserted and assumed true. This is why theists hate the burden of proof, because they operate almost exclusively on presuppositions. In the end, the burden of proof is a well-accepted principle in academia for a reason, and if you're a person who doesn't like bearing the burden of proof for your outrageous claims, then maybe talking isn't for you. Thanks for listening. I'm AJV for Noah's Snark. Until next time, revel in reason and love the logical.